Chapter 9. And he said to them, Truly I say to you, that there are some of those standing here who will never experience death, until they see the kingdom of God having come with power. And after 6 days Jesus took along Peter, and James, and John, and led them to a high mountain by themselves alone. And he was transfigured before them, and his clothing became radiant, extremely white, like no cloth refiner on earth can make so white. And Elijah appeared to them, together with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. And Peter answered and said to Jesus, Rabbi, it is good that we are here. And let us make 3 shelters, one for you, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah. For he did not know what he should answer, because they were terrified. And a cloud came overshadowing them, and a voice came from the cloud, This is my beloved Son, listen to him. And suddenly, looking around, they no longer saw anyone with them but Jesus alone. And as they were coming down from the mountain, he ordered them that they should tell no one the things that they had seen, except when the Son of Man had risen from the dead. And they kept the matter to themselves, discussing what this rising from the dead meant. And they asked him, saying, Why do the scribes say that Elijah must come first? And he said to them, Elijah indeed does come first, and restores all things. And how is it written concerning the Son of Man, that he should suffer many things, and be treated with contempt? But I tell you that indeed Elijah has come, and they did to him whatever they wanted, just as it is written about him. And when they came to the disciples, they saw a large crowd around them, and scribes arguing with them. And immediately the whole crowd, when they saw him, were amazed, and ran up to him and greeted him. And he asked them, What are you arguing about with them? And one individual from the crowd answered him, Teacher, I brought to you my son, who has a spirit that makes him mute, and whenever it seizes him, it throws him down, and he foams at the mouth, and grinds his teeth, and becomes paralyzed. And I told your disciples that they should expel it, and they were not able to do so. And he answered them and said, O unbelieving generation, how long will I be with you? How long must I put up with you? Bring him to me. And they brought him to him. And when he saw him, the spirit immediately convulsed him, and falling on the ground he began to roll around, foaming at the mouth. And he asked his father how long it was since this had been happening to him. And he said, From childhood, and often it has thrown him both into fire and into water, in order that it could destroy him. But if you are able to do anything, have compassion on us, and help us. But Jesus said to him, If you are able, all things are possible for the one who believes. Immediately the father of the child cried out and said, I believe, help my unbelief. Now when Jesus saw that a crowd was running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, Mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him, and enter into him no more. And it came out, screaming and convulsing him greatly. And he became as if he were dead, so that most of them said, He has died. But Jesus took hold of his hand and raised him up, and he stood up. And after he had entered into the house, his disciples asked him privately, Why were we not able to expel it? And he said to them, This kind can come out by nothing except by prayer. And from there they went out and passed through Galilee. And he did not want anyone to know, for he was teaching his disciples, and was telling them, The Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of men, and they will kill him. And when he is killed, after 3 days he will rise. But they did not understand the statement, and they were afraid to ask him. And they came to Capernaum, and after he was in the house he asked them, What were you discussing on the way? But they were silent, because they had argued with one another on the way about who was greatest. And he sat down and called the 12, and said to them, If anyone wants to be first, he will be last of all, and servant of all. And he took a young child, and had him stand among them. And taking him in his arms, he said to them, Whoever welcomes one of the young children such as these in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me. John said to him, Teacher, We saw someone expelling demons in your name, and we tried to prevent him because he was not following us. But Jesus said, Do not prevent him, because there is no one who does a miracle in my name and will be able soon afterward to speak evil of me. For whoever is not against us is for us. For whoever gives you a cup of water to drink in my name because you are Christ's, truly I say to you that he will never lose his reward. And whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it is better for him if instead a large millstone is placed around his neck, and he is thrown into the sea. And if your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter into life crippled than having 2 hands to go into hell, into the unquenchable fire. And if your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter into life lame than having 2 feet to be thrown into hell. And if your eye causes you to sin, tear it out. It is better for you to enter into the kingdom of God with 1 eye than having 2 eyes to be thrown into hell, where their worm does not die and the fire is not extinguished. For everyone will be salted with fire. Salt is good, but if the salt becomes deprived of its salt content, by what can you make it salty? Have salt among yourselves, and be at peace with one another.